I was surprised by that show in that a lot of it shot on the highway, right?
The California Highway Patrol show?
Yeah. I was surprised by it. I was surprised by it.
Makes sense.
The Love Boat, a lot of it shot on an actual ship out in the water. In the 70s, they were going on location.
Is this the Billy York informant shootout?
I don't know, I just got here. Wait a second. Hey, Larry. Larry! Is this the Billy York informant shootout?
No, check out the third floor.
Thanks.
Welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast, coming at you from the Slice on Oak Studios. I am Mayor Dave Badeaux of the city of Brainerd, and with me, as always, is my brother.
I didn't ask to be born.
Okay, well, Gabriel Johnson, save us from that, please.
Dave, I'm proud to announce that the 8-year-old boys from Brainerd are the champions of the Mountain Dew Blast.
Whoa. First and foremost, you showed that greatest name of any tournament.
It was so intense.
It was hot.
Extreme.
Sweet medals, though, too.
Mm-hmm.
That's one for the case.
Yeah.
So, hockey, where was the tournament at?
Maple Grove, Minnesota.
Okay, well, that's acceptable. Maple Grove, good place to be. Mountain Dew Blast, the event of the century, and your son, champion. Hey, over here with me as well is Jesse Huber. Pubes, how are you?
Well, I woke up this morning, so I got that going for me.
Yeah, you were telling us beforehand that you almost died.
I did.
From a cat bite.
Yeah, that's a first time.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it on the podcast, but you did almost die from a cat bite.
I did. Yeah,
Cats have like the dirtiest mouths.
yeah he does.
And
Little bastard.
he got it right in you. But we're glad to have you.
Yeah.
I also got a call. Jesse's going to be helping out with a youth group for his church.
Yes.
And so this is your 30 seconds to explain yourself. She said, what are Jesse's strengths and weaknesses? Because she called me as a reference. Mm-hmm. What are Jesse's strengths and weaknesses? I said, Jesse is a gigantic nerd.
Secret sound of his strength.
His strengths and weaknesses are being a giant nerd and all the things that come with that. So, got you the spot.
I appreciate the help.
All right, are you guys ready to get started?
Yes.
This is the Be Kind Rewind. 1977. So for those of you who have not been with us before, the Be Kind Rewind is the episodes of the podcast in which we go back and take a look at a specific year and everything that goes on with that year. We went from 1988 all the way to 2008. Now we've rewound all the way back to 1977, which is the year of Star Wars.
Yes.
But it is also, as you will find today, a pivotal point in the reimagining of where things go for the entire 80s decade, I would say. Mm-hmm. It isn't just the movies, but it's the television, it's the music, it's the pop culture stuff as well. But I would also say that from a standpoint of like a nation, we just had our new commander-in-chief elected. One Jimmy Carter
Just celebrated 200.
just celebrated 200. The move from the 60s into the early 70s, it's all kind of this melding of downhill, kind of people are downtrodden. And then 1977 comes along and is like, you know what, F off. We're going in a different direction.
Yep. I mean, coming from the mid-70s, gas crisis, out of the Vietnam War. And Yep.
I wasn't aware. I just learned this today. I wasn't aware that Jimmy Carter pardoned everyone who was a draft dodger. I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Nor did I.
That is fact to me as well.
Yeah,
I did. Yeah, he was a peacenik. He was against the war the whole time. And so that's cool.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Like right now, if that happened. People would lose their fucking minds.
I wish it could happen, Dave, because there's no fucking way we would be in so many wars in so many places if we still had the draft.
No, okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. You are correct. All right, boys, let's get started on this. We got a long way to go today. Let's start off, as always, with the soundtrack of our lives, the music of 1977. Scott, I'm going to let you just start reading the list. This is incredible.
Yeah, you go to Google and you just type in 1977 albums.
Yes, albums.
And I'm just going to read you the artists that released albums according to Google.
Okay.
Fleetwood Mac, The Sex Pistols, Steely Dan, Elvis Costello, The Ramones, David Bowie again,
Double Bowie,
Iggy Pop, The Clash, Pink Floyd, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Talking Heads, Bob Marley and the Wailers, Eric Clapton, Billy Joel, fucking Queen,
the entire
Cheap Trick, Earth, Wind and Fire, Rush, Kiss, The Heartbreakers, Styx, Steve Miller Band, Jethro Tull, Judas Priest, Ted Nugent.
Okay, stop. I was going.
Al Green, Bee Gees, The Jam, The Ramones again, Neil Young, Bootsy Collins, yes, Thin Lizzy.
You stop at Bootsy Collins.
You're a total smash, baby.
That's insane.
No, it's incredible.
That is the entire classic rock genre.
Right.
Yeah.
I was gonna.
Your classic rock station in your town.
Happened in 4 months.
That's what they play.
Yeah, I was going to make the joke halfway through that list, and it just kept going.
Like in literally every genre of music.
Yeah, for sure.
Disco, rock, pop, punk.
Yeah.
Like all the
Sex Pistols,
Sex
The
Pistols.
Ramones, Iggy Pop.
Yeah, and these are not small albums either.
No, these are big ones. Like I mean, even just the Hotel California.
Yeah.
That was that year.
Hate it.
Even though I hate the I'm not an Eagles fan at
hate the
all.
fucking Eagles. I specifically hate that song. I accept that it is a well-constructed piece of music. That song, it's terrible.
I know.
By the way, we've already used up our entire allotment of so let's maybe personally dial it back.
Well, actually, I like the Eagles and that song, but I also like saying that I hate.
Yeah.
I never really cared for the Eagles. Like, I appreciated what they did.
Yes.
But I wasn't going to go and listen to it and buy the album.
Fleetwood Mac, Rumors, one
That
of the best albums.
that was their best album.
Yeah,
Hands
crazy.
down.
Love the idea that they just got all effed up on drugs over I think it was 18 months or something. It was a ridiculous amount of time, or 11 months or something. Just out of their minds on drugs, ruined all their relationships.
Yeah, all got divorced and quit afterwards.
But created just this really...
Didn't Buckingham marry...
Buckingham and Stevie Nicks were
Stevie
married
Nicks.
Yeah.
for a while there.
For
Turns out,
quite a while.
when you do drugs and bang each other, things happen.
And other people.
And other people.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen Mick Fleetwood play drums, right?
Nope.
The face he makes when he plays drums. Just look it up sometime.
And there you have it, folks. I'm going to give you each one super fast. Like, what would be the one that you would pull off?
I'm going
the
to guess
list?
Floyd was Dark Side of the Moon in 77?
Was
pretty
that
close.
or was that 70?
That might have been 75.
70.
Yeah,
Was
that's
it
getting to the
earlier?
end. It's getting to the end of Floyd. It's kind of when they were. Well,
Yeah, but they did the wall in 79 or 80. So they were still
true.
Oh, that was when that. Yep.
The Floyd were doing a lot of touring in the 80s. That was,
Animals.
Animals,
Animals
okay.
was 77.
Okay.
That was a great album.
Yeah.
Remember Children of Men?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Covers straight there.
Jesse, which one would you go with?
Holy crap.
Don't overthink it.
Couple easy ones.
Okay.
Off the Wall.
Okay.
Strawberry Letter, number 23 by the Brothers Johnson.
Okay. Wow.
Now,
Did not predict that.
Tarantino likes that song. He uses that in a lot of his movies.
Yeah.
Or at least, was it Jackie Brown?
Jackie Brown, which is underrated. Love that movie.
Yep. Another one.
Yep.
Heat Wave, Boogie Nights.
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Which I like that song a lot, and it always kind of ticked me off that the movie,
Yeah.
Boogie Nights, did not have the song Boogie Nights.
Yeah, they definitely should have done that. That's a missed opportunity. I'm just going to say Bootsy Collins because I love Bootsy. I don't even know what song it was, but anytime that you can just say Bootsy Collins and play a little bit of Bootsy Collins, that's what you do.
Right.
Also, the Sex Pistols. Great to know that was the album with "God Save the Queen," I believe.
Yes.
Or is that even the name of the album? Is that?
I don't know if it's the name of the
I don't know
album,
if it is.
The album's Nevermind the Bollocks.
Okay, yeah.
Here's
yeah,
the
yeah.
Sex Pistols.
Here's the Sex Pistols. Yeah. Just band. UK just straight up bans the the actual song.
Oh, the punk scene was
Punk is great. I'm a huge punk guy, but my punk is later on. My punk is like late 90s punk. You know, like
that's what introduced me to punk. But you take punk culture and you go late 70s, early 80s. That's everything.
Yeah.
I say my punk
nowadays. Punk is you do what they tell you.
Yeah. Oh, dare you not? Well, that started with Green Day.
Yeah.
What?
They just turned into a bunch of whiny bitches.
Yeah. You guys should listen to your masters and the rulers more. It's not fair that you're saying no.
Yeah. Anyways,
they were good, but by the time we graduated, God, that was our graduation song.
They were so
freaking
whiny.
time of our life, wasn't it?
It was.
Good Riddance, it was called, and I'm glad that our class had the song titled Good Riddance.
See you later. All right, we're a little sloppy, but that's good stuff there. The music, unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
And
Not to be believed.
not to be believed. People said, why 77? Why 77? Well, Star Wars is, from a movie standpoint and from a pop culture standpoint, a complete changing of an entire industry and where things go. Technically, it starts with Jaws, and we'll talk about that next week.
It was only a couple years prior.
Which is just a couple years prior. But that's the changing of the actual philosophy. But it's when Star Wars hits. But everything else that happens along with 77 is crazy. The music completely changes what we listen to in music for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
The Power Loon, our local station that plays classic rock, is still playing all those songs still right now, 50 years
it's
later.
the same catalog.
But just
for
every
the last
once in a
30
while,
years.
they'll mix in Nirvana, Metallica.
Yeah, they'll throw a Pearl Jam like, ooh, classic rock.
I'm not that old. Let's go ahead. Let's shift gears super fast. Let's go with Gabe. Typically, we've been doing bombings.
Bombings were popular in the 90s into about 9/11, 2001. Back in the 70s, we weren't bombing people.
No, we weren't.
After we got out of Cambodia, at least.
Everyone had already been pardoned for drafting the Dodge.
But we had a lot of good serial killers in the 70s going into the... I mean, if you like that kind of thing.
If you're rating,
I find it abhorrent.
way out of line.
But in 1977, I have a couple I want to bring up. And the first one is a guy who was apprehended in 77 in New York City,
Yes.
the son of Sam.
Oh, the Zodiac.
No. Son of Sam.
Who was
very
the son?
similar? Very similar.
Or was he you're
Son of Sam
you're
was the
more
one with the
versed in
dog,
that.
right?
Yes.
Son of Sam was the guy who killed 6 people around New York City and was taunting the cops the whole time, writing letters that they're never going to catch him.
Berkowitz.
Berkowitz.
Yep.
Very ugly fella.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be
weird.
able to trick a woman to come into his car very well. He wouldn't be good at that. He just had to come up from behind them, bludgeon them, and shoot them.
Berkowitz looks like a guy, like the actual guy looks like you had a movie set and then like did makeup on a guy to make him look like Berkowitz. But that's what he looks like.
Yep.
It's like something weird about his face.
He was apprehended in 77, killed 6 people. According to Wikipedia, he terrorized New York City. His motive? Misogyny.
Is that what he said?
Maybe a bit of revisionist history here.
But then there's another serial killer that I want to bring up who I find absolutely fascinating. This guy was not ugly. He was fucking hot. His reign of terror was from 74 to 78. It spanned a number of states. He killed at least 20, confessed to about 36.
Yep.
Holy
Could be north of 100.
Jesus.
And he was vile. He was violent. Motive? Necrophilia. But he was pretty sexy, so he would like pretend his car wasn't working, and girls would come over and be like, "Oh, hey, do you need some help with something?" Then he'd like get a log and bash her in the back of the head. And
This
go.
is Bundy, right?
Yes.
His name's Ted Bundy.
Yes.
Yeah. I know he liked the hammer.
But I brought it up because 77 was in the middle of his reign of terror. But 77 is when he was apprehended in Utah,
Yep.
extradited to Colorado. He was in jail in Colorado, and he was representing himself because he was so hot.
As one does.
He was a very eloquent speaker.
As
Oh,
one
he was
does.
charming.
Yeah.
He was charming. He had the personality to match it. Since he was representing himself during recesses, he was able to go into the courthouse's law library. And he was kind of sick of being in jail. So he just, during a recess, jumped out the window and ran away. On trial for multiple murders, whatever. This guy we just lost him.
Well, you got nothing to lose.
He disappeared for about a week, got bored, came back.
Came back?
Came back to Aspen, Colorado. And then sat there for a few more months. And then by December, he was bored of being in jail. So he escaped again.
What? How do I not know this?
Did he go the same fucking jail? Same people. This guy already escaped once. He escapes again.
Didn't he just go out of the bathroom the second time too? Like
this time it was New Year's Eve, so everybody was gone on vacation. Minimal staff. All of the nonviolent people were on like furloughs. So he's like the only guy in this entire building. Crawled through the vents up into the main jailer's living quarters. He was out with his wife. Changed his clothes in that guy's closet, walked out the front door. By the time they noticed, 2 days later, he was in Chicago, and by the time they found him a few months later, he had done a bit ugly,
more murder,
horrendous murdering spree down in Florida.
Jesus.
Yeah. It is really crazy because, like, it's become such a part of pop culture, right? Silence of the Lambs, all these other movies that have used parts of him as, you know, pieces that like explain who their killer is. Crazy to think like, oh, he just pulls over on the side of the road and has you help him, you know, with his car. And then, oh, whoops, that's the end of that.
And his targets were very attractive young women. They were all pretty college-age women who he liked to have sex with when they were dead. So he had to get to the dead part. And he murdered a bunch of them.
YouTube just demonetized us.
We finally were about to get in there.
We were so close. So close to our $2.
It was way out of line.
Way out of line. Wow. That goes without saying. That it was way out of line. Didn't he break into a sorority at one point too? Wasn't
that was his Florida spree?
Yeah.
That was his real
that was the bad one.
Violent, vicious one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy that because just a really good looking dude, very well spoken. And I don't know if they ever really got into like what happened to him, like how he got the way he was.
You know, I've read a lot in his story of his upbringing.
Yeah, but he's also a complete.
He's never told the truth in his life.
Yeah, there's no
doesn't
chance.
match with any of his parents, siblings, whatever. Say he was a bastard child. He was. His mother did have him out of wedlock, and he was raised by his grandparents.
That'll get you every time.
And I feel bad for his stepdad, who adopted him and gave him the name Bundy.
Oh, whoops.
Like, this isn't even a genetic Bundy. This is an adopted Bundy.
You take that back. You go into court and you say, I would like his name legally changed.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's stories of his grandpa was a drunk or his grandma was crazy or whatever. But none of it explains how somebody could be so sociopath.
Yeah, something has to happen along the line, along the way. I mean, obviously just, you know, basic mental illness can happen, but something had to happen along the line to send you that far off the deep end, but also still be connected enough to function at the high level that he did, to do things the way that he did.
Right.
So bizarre.
Fascinating character.
1977 for you, baby. The breaking out twice is crazy. And it wasn't like he made a doll out of soap. And then he was doing that.
He bashed it with a log first.
Again. Yeah. No, he looks the murdering first. Again, YouTube has
No, the murder is just to get to the point. The point is
okay.
And in his interviews after arrest, he would go back and back. And back until either decomposition or wild animals made it unfeasible.
Okay. Guys.
Whoa.
Rigor mortis.
Guys. Dial it back 30%.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it would, like in the woods and stuff.
You don't see that in any of the TV dramas and accusations.
No, that was the Colorado one too. That's when he got bored. Like
that's where his ashes were spread.
Who spread his ashes?
His mom.
Not his stepdad.
No.
We burned this 3 times over.
Wow.
Okay, well, that was fun. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to like direct that into a way that is fun. Maybe we'll replace the very specific words with other words. Kittens,
Pet.
kittens. Speaking of death, though,
Animal noises from other countries.
Yeah. Oh, that would be fun.
Ga.
Oh man, we are a sloppy episode today, but it's fun. Speaking of, so that was last episode. Last episode, we played a game in which was the secret sound, and it was foreign animals or animal noises that foreigners make. I thought it was going to be the worst episode of all time. Said so much. The description of the episode on the internet is the worst episode of all time. Secretly kind of liked it. It was actually kind of fun.
Oh,
so yeah, it turned.
I mean,
out.
it was fun overall.
I had to clean it up a little bit, but
I
it
bet.
turned out pretty good. But anyways, speaking of death, 1977, a lot of good music. A lot of people died.
Well, like you had already said, it was kind of a turning point, and there really was a turning point. And if you look at the list of deaths, stop me if you want to talk about any one of these. But I mean, Elvis Presley,
Yep.
Bing Crosby, Charlie Chaplin, Groucho Marx, the Leonard Skinner plane crash,
Yes.
P.K. Wrigley, and the one I want to stop on,
Of course.
Werner von Braun.
Yeah.
Werner von Braun.
Oh,
No, yeah, we can't literally can't say the word.
You
'cause we
can't
will
say
get-
the N word.
not
The other N word.
Yeah, the double. Yeah, you can't. We will be demonetized for that. So please don't say that.
He's the Vater de Raumfahrt.
I know nothing.
He's the father of space travel.
Oh,
So he actually had a job before he worked in America.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Operation Paperclip?
It's amazing how many of them were like given
It was
opportunities.
over 1,600 SS officers and high-ranking officials were allowed American citizenship to come here and help us land on the moon and build ICBMs.
That is true.
And this was like the lead guy, the smartest scientist on Earth.
it was.
We're like, all the war crimes, we forgive them. Help us land on the moon. And he designed the Saturn V rocket.
You see that space, which is impressive. I sent you guys the photos of that, the one in Houston. Unbelievable. I think it is the most awe-inspiring thing I've ever been next to. That thing is incredible, the Saturn V. However, move on. Let's go back further up the list. Elvis Presley. Crazy. Elvis Presley's trajectory is interesting because he was 45-ish?
Something like that. 43,
Yeah.
44,
40s,
45.
Really?
Early 40s. Again, I like to think of it like from what if someone from our time frame went that route?
I mean,
Which-
Bradley Noel, Kurt Cobain, I don't know.
but they died early. They died young though.
They were
This
20.
is like because Elvis was super young when
This would
when
be like
he-
Bono croaking. Yeah.
Well, and I'd even go further because he was very young when he got started, so he had a long career, like 20 years, probably 20 plus years. So people kind of watched him grow up, and then he started to age. And he didn't age well because he was heavy onto the cocaine and the peanut butter. And
Yeah,
bacon
when he
sandwich.
moved out to
Butter
Vegas
and
to just
banana, I
Yeah,
believe was his.
yeah, when he did the residencies in Vegas, he kind of let himself go a little bit.
A little bit, but that was kind of where this was he was on tour. The tour did not go specifically well because he was very out of shape and lethargic. And then, the situation on the toilet happens.
Well, it's like all the greats: Michael Jackson, Prince,
Yeah.
So Prince,
Elvis Presley. It's like you have
Prince's-
doctors just trying to keep you.
Oh, he was
in that
heavily.
alive zone.
He was on. He was taking pills like crazy too.
Yeah, so the two that I would say would be very similar would be Michael Jackson and Prince. Those are very similar trajectories, and both end up dying of drugs in one way or another. But this is to me is crazy because then, like the whole Graceland thing is like wild to me because it's kind of like the Playboy Mansion, right? Where it's like you think of it, you're like,
but wholesome.
well, I don't know. Have you seen the place? Like it's covered in leopard skin. The whole place is leopard skin and carpet. It wasn't very wholesome.
It was when he built it for his
It was
mother.
the 70s.
Okay. But how they kept that as like a mausoleum is pretty cool. They just this this moment in time that is encapsulated. You know, he's buried there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But you know, it's kind of like, well, here's another great example. It's almost like Justin Bieber, right? Justin Bieber's trajectory from almost younger, but now look at him the last couple years. Or
Yeah, P. Diddy really gave him that blast he needed to.
hello, everybody!
Wow.
Woo! Yeah, he really used that to propel himself. Britney Spears is probably the exact, you know, now when Britney Spears dies on the toilet.
When she dies in 10 years, everybody will be like, bummer. But yeah.
Yeah, saw that coming. But then take her house, make it a mausoleum, and people pay money to come see it all the time. It's just it's a wild thing.
And then people's stepmoms are dressing up like Britney Spears for the rest of their lives.
That's the other part. But that's the other part of it. That's
Not
the other.
stepmom, mother-in-laws.
But that's the other part. Like Michael Jackson gets that a little bit. Prince maybe some, maybe I don't know. There's gotta be
there's people dress up as
yeah,
Prince.
yeah.
And anytime you see somebody dressed like Prince, I think they're Austin Powers.
That's a good observation. That is just change the color from purple to blue.
No, from white to black.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna slow us down. I'm gonna slow us way down today. I don't know what happened, but somewhere along the lines today, we went way off the fucking rails.
Off the rails. Huh?
You guys are so out of line today. It's unbelievable.
You asked me to bring serial killers, and you're like, why are you talking about death?
This is the Be Kind Rewind. These are the lighthearted episodes of the podcast. Save it.
Where we talk about serial killers.
Yeah. Anybody else from that list? Super fast.
Groucho Marx, some of the best quips and one-liners of all time. I mean, he was a comedian for
he was
70,
great.
80 years.
The fact that him and Chaplin both went out at that's
same
pretty
year.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bing Crosby had an amazing collaboration with David Bowie that year.
Bing Crosby is an interesting one because my daughter's favorite Christmas movie is White Christmas. My mom's favorite Christmas movie is White Christmas. I've seen White Christmas a billion times. It's a good movie. It's a very good movie. So Bing Crosby has just been a staple. He is every year. There's Chevy Chase, there's Kevin McAllister, and there is Bing Crosby.
No, when it comes to Christmas music, I mean, at my house,
Every
Bing
year I put the
Crosby
record
is
on.
the voice of Christmas.
Every year.
Exactly. I, as a teenage kid, was just up in my room trying to emulate that. So during Christmas, I could just sing down by the tree, make everybody have a pleasant, pleasant Christmas. And it was always Bing.
I always liked him way more than Sinatra.
Yeah, Bing is way better than Sinatra. I shouldn't have said that. That was a bad move.
That's gonna piss some people
There's
off.
going to be some 80-year-olds that are going to fucking hate that. But the Charlie Chaplin, very interesting. Pretty cool to kind of see them at the end of their life because you don't think of that, right? You think of Charlie Chaplin as being very early on. You don't think of Charlie Chaplin as 1977.
Right.
No.
Same thing with Groucho Marx. You don't think
No,
of Groucho
that's like
Marx.
silent film.
That's exactly
Pratfall.
Yeah.
Vaudeville.
Vaudeville. Yeah.
Well, Groucho Marx did say it's easy to live to be old. As long as you stick around for it.
Yeah. I was
That mustache.
Yes.
I did not realize that it's grease paint.
Early in his career, it was.
Yeah.
Eventually, he was able to grow a good mustache.
But not the comically like rectangle
not the perfect. No.
smeared on his face.
His entire look, and I'm right there with you, Scott, because I just saw that today, that I always thought it was a big fake like mustache that they glued onto his face.
Right.
No, it was just literally grease.
Yeah, just grease. He just went.
It was just grease. And then the first time he did, he looked in the mirror, was like, oh no, my eyebrows look weird. So then he was like, what?
Well, I imagine coming from radio, like, oh, this TV, who cares?
Yeah.
Who
Well,
cares?
yeah, and on stage
like,
as well, right?
Crap. Now,
Well,
now I need a face, not a face for radio, as they say. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I read into it, and they use the grease paint because like theater lights are so hot, like your traditional makeups would just like melt and run.
yeah.
Oh,
So
now
this,
it just
so
stay.
this creamy just stays right there.
Yeah.
But you see like high def pictures
Yes.
of it now, and you're like, oh, that looks like
Anything-
up close. You're like, that's awful.
They were winning Oscars for makeup.
Made to be seen on a little black and white round. You know, no one ever thought it'd be like HD.
Right. The TV this big, whatever. You don't think anything of
But
it.
even like 70s and 80s
Yeah.
movies and TV, you get them in high def. It's like,
Just today was the first time I had ever seen a picture of Groucho Marx in HD, and I said, "What?" And then just immediately started laughing. It was like my entire life. And now, to be fair, a lot of what we think of him is references from other things,
and it's just novelty glasses.
the novelty
that you buy.
glasses,
yeah.
and the cigar, but. No joke. Today was the first time that I was like, "Oh, it's just grease."
Yeah.
You know who did a good Groucho, who was also very hot in 1977? Alan Alda.
Oh, love Alan Alda.
Yep. He always, if you watched MASH, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Heard of it.
Maybe
Yeah.
they had
It's a show.
They ran for a couple seasons, you know.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's move on. So let's go, since we're talking about it, let's talk TV. You guys want to talk TV from 1977? It's a great transition.
Sure.
I've got a handful of them. Anybody got something you want to start with from television? Because I got a couple of them.
Okay.
I watched a couple of episodes of Three's Company.
Okay.
Oh, great. Aaron Spelling did that, didn't he?
I don't know. It was
I mean, he did pretty much every
did he
big.
write it?
Producer.
Producer.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, but I'm going to say yes.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
Jesse's saying it. Of course, it's correct.
Yeah.
Edgier than I expected.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For the time, well, yeah. I
For-
mean, the
for this, like,
concept
the
of it, this
mid-70s?
guy to have a guy pretending he's gay just to get to live with. Was it supposed to be a women's only, or how did that work?
I
don't
think it
remember.
was that so there's the apartment and he can't be in there with them.
Right.
I don't think it was
Or was it a co-ed?
I don't
I
remember.
think it's just an apartment.
Yeah, I think it
But
was
there
just
was something where a guy shouldn't have been. I
Well,
Yeah, single men and women didn't live together. in
Yeah, it's
1977.
called
that's
1977.
what it was. Yeah,
Just
yeah.
culturally
Yeah.
unacceptable.
So he had to
Yeah.
pretend he was gay.
So no, he's gay.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of
And in 1977, they were like, okay, no questions.
yeah, and Mr. What was it, Mr.
for I think something like that.
Yeah, who played? I know Don Knotts
Lee.
played him for a while,
Okay.
and then there was another actor that came in,
No clue. I watched episode 1 and maybe 2.
and he could never quite. You know, he always knew something's up here, and he'd pop in and do his thing.
Wait a minute. You're not gay.
Something's not right here.
It's my Don Knotts.
pretty good. Acceptable.
Bug your eyes out a little bit.
Yeah. Whoa. But
Mr. Roper.
Okay.
Roper. That's what it was.
a little edgier though.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting like lesbian jokes
Okay.
from the 70s.
Sure.
The first couple of jokes, I was like, oh, this is not what I expected.
Yeah. So
So I'm
It
actually
was in syndication in the 80s. Like, we watched it in the afternoon.
Yeah, the reruns of Three's Company and Happy Days and all them.
So
and,
was
yeah.
he constantly trying to get them to do it? Was he just constantly trying to get those two in bed together?
No, it was just
No, he
Just
didn't.
little-
He didn't really pursue him at all, did he?
and honestly, it was more the girls that would make jokes about.
Yep, and he was just kind of the goofy. I just want
I just need a place to live.
to place.
Just need a place to live. I did not get an opportunity to watch that specifically. I wanted to. I just didn't get an opportunity to do it.
Yeah,
but that was one that I thought would be interesting to go back to.
Yeah,
If you
I might
wanna-
actually go back and watch more of it.
If you want an earworm, once you hear that theme song, you're
Yeah.
screwed.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
It's going.
Yeah,
through
that's
my
the
head
first
right
time I remember seeing John Ritter, but he went on to do a lot of fun things in the 80s.
He was.
He was a
did
fun
great
actor.
stuff.
Yeah.
Movies. I mean, yeah, television. Oh yeah, Sling Blade. He was in Sling Blade.
Child's Play?
Child's
No.
Problem Child.
Problem Child. There
Yep,
it is.
he did
Yep.
a couple of them
Yep.
at least. It, the TV series, which I know you love, Stephen King. That was a good one. And then lastly, he did something rules to date my teenage.
Oh, eight
Eight
simple,
simple
rules.
rules. Yep,
Yep.
that was his last. That was his last
He
thing.
died while
Well-
in mid-season.
Yep.
It wasn't it?
Oh, just like Charlie Sheen.
Well, speaking of like killing off a character, in Three's Company, they didn't kill her off, but Suzanne Summers decided that she the show could not exist without her.
Oh, that's right. They replaced Chrissy with another. Yep.
So she decided that she was going to take one for the team, and she was going to say, like, I'm not doing this unless I get a substantial raise.
How's that taking one for the team?
Probably wanted everybody to get a raise. Maybe.
She wants everybody to get a raise, so she's going to be the one that I'm going to go.
That kind of stuff happened a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm just glad Joyce DeWitt's
And it turns
character
out
was
they
way
found
better
another
anyways.
hot blonde who could do that.
It turns out
Not a hard character.
not a hard one, but they did.
They do the same thing at Fox News.
Yes, they do. Except in
Whatever,
that one,
hot blonde, bring her in.
except in that one, you have to have sex with everyone, otherwise you're gone. So instead of just like killing her off or just, she gets a job and moves on, they had multiple episodes it was at least the whole end of that season or the whole next season where she's just like, they would do something like at the end of the episode where she would just like call them on the phone. But the relationship had soured so much that she had to be escorted onto the stage on days when nobody else was filming. They set up a little room, which was where she would make the phone call from in her scene. She was the only one there, her and the camera people. They'd shoot that, and then they'd escort her off the fucking studio.
I don't remember that.
It soured so much, and I think what it was the end of the season. So she said, no, I'm not doing it unless I get my money. They said, well, screw you then. And then for the rest of that season, just basically pivoted, I believe is how it ended. But they would only let her on days when nobody else was there and just ostracize her 100%.
That is goofy.
So
They did
all
that.
of her scenes were just by herself.
And it was just like
Just brooding.
It was just like
her on a phone.
Yeah, it was just like hey, I hope you're wondering
I'm
where
having
I
fun in
am. Yeah. Don't you hear the birds in the back? But yeah, fascinating.
Yeah.
And that type of stuff happens all the time. But typically it's for something more than just money, right? Typically something happens like a Charlie Sheen where you're like, hey, we should probably pivot.
Probably shouldn't have this guy with kids.
2.5 men. Let's find another man. But yeah, interesting. Super fun fact about Suzanne Summers in the movie that we just watched, American Graffiti. The hot
girl in the T-Bird.
The girl in the T-Bird.
Yeah.
Who you see for 0.2 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah, is Suzanne Summers.
And that was her. I think that was her first role.
Could have been or close to
That's
it.
a lot of people's first role.
Oh yeah, that was her. No,
Yeah.
that was Harrison Ford's first role
Yeah.
because he was a carpenter, and Lucas was like,
Nope, it was not his first role. He had been acting and done some stuff. He had decided he was going to just pursue carpentry, and George Lucas said, "I will pay you the same amount that you would make being a carpenter."
Yeah, I
if
knew
you
it was
come
something
here."
like that. Yeah.
And then just wear this giant hat. Laugh track. How was the laugh track on that? Was the laugh track
I didn't notice it.
okay?
Typical 70s laugh track.
That kind of show, it's just to be
Every
expected.
show had the same type of laugh.
Once every 30 seconds, laugh track. 30 seconds, laugh track.
Yeah. But that's the weird thing because I want to shift real quick and move on to the next show. The one that I did watch was I watched some of The Love Boat.
Okay.
The Love Boat is exactly what I thought 1970s television would be. It is literally exactly what I thought it would be, except for the fact that I guess I had no idea what The Love Boat was. I think my experience with The Love Boat is when they started trimming it down to a half hour.
Or when the Minnesota Vikings had that incident.
That's a different Love Boat.
Brian McKinney's head is so big.
That's a different Love Boat, but that boat by the end was also white.
Yeah, running through the okra patch.
Yeah. Okay. What the? No, Scott. No.
That's what Fred Smoot said.
That's. I don't care if
Fred
he said
Smoot
it.
can say that, Scott.
Yeah, I don't know. So, The Love Boat is a really weird experience now, 50 years later. It was a show that was released on Saturdays, I believe, Saturday nights. It was, I believe, ABC. And it was an hour long with a laugh track that was kind of comedy, kind of dramedy. A lot more drama in this than I would, because it's an hour long, right? You can't do comedy for an hour. But they would always have like 3 different storylines to get the whole family involved. You'd have your younger, more comical thing. The staff was basically comic relief. So their whole storyline would always be just the comedy. Then there was always some kind of love triangle situation, rekindled love, or somebody getting chased down or something.
On a boat?
On a boat.
On a boat.
The first episode that I watched, Johnny Walker is chasing after his lady who has gotten on the boat. So this is Pacific, right? Mm-hmm. So she's going down to like Mexico, and every stop here he comes in his van. So he's literally chasing in his van. Just every stop, all of a sudden he shows up and gets on the boat for a little bit, and then the boat, they're like, "You got to go. We're taking off again." Yeah. And then he gets back in his car,
dude.
and then he chases after her again. I think that's episode 1. The show itself started off with like 4 made for TV movies, just short made for TV movies, and then turned into one of the most successful shows on television. Hard to watch now. Hard to watch. It's long. Yeah. An hour is so long for 1970s laugh track television.
And the fact that it actually made its way to like 86.
Well, that's what I wanted to say about this, is that this is a point in time in which it completely reinvents where we go. The Love Boat itself is a situation in which you have your dreary 70s, you have your
it switched. And I want to get into that with the show I want to mention next.
Okay. So I'll wrap this up. I'll wrap this up super fast. I read somewhere that this completely changed the cruise industry. Cruises at this point were ships that were naval ships, or there had never been a cruise ship.
They weren't floating hotels.
No, these had all been recommissioned to be what the cruise ship that they are. Sure. They held like 800 people, at the most.
Now you're like 5,000.
Yeah.
Them carnival ships.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever seen one in person, but
I've been on a few of them.
They're
wild,
massive.
So they were still big, but they weren't gigantic. 500,000 people a year took cruises before this show started. This is actual cruise ships. They are Princess cruise ships. Mm-hmm. By the end of this, the entire industry explodes and then becomes what it is in the 90s, and now what it is with these mega ships. It is because of the show Love Boat. And it's crazy that at that point it was just kind of like old people or honeymoon couples would get on it.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's about my parents for a long time went on 1 or 2 cruises every single year, and they probably started late 80s, early 90s.
So you're
they
watching.
Could have been like they may have been watching the Love Boat, like, hey, honey, we should go try that.
I would almost guarantee it.
It's exactly that's what happened. People didn't take cruises until this show became a thing, and they tried to show, it's fun. You get on a boat and
and they went every year.
You get on a boat and you're on a boat.
They went every year until the ship's facial recognition software could identify my dad as soon as he stepped on, and they had to find a different way to vacation.
One day I'm doing this. They have a dedicated Star Trek cruise.
Like a Disney is doing it?
God, you are so
Are they doing it?
nerdy.
They own it.
Do they call it the SS Nerd?
I will be on the SS Nerd.
Oh my God.
Someday.
Jesse,
Someday.
I love you, but my God.
I mean, all the actors are there. You basically are hanging out.
God.
I mean, you're stuck on a boat with them.
My God.
And
how much would you have to get paid as an actor? You sit on a boat with a bunch of nerds.
You cannot escape your fans.
Yeah.
You are on a boat with them.
Your super fans just paid $5,000 to be stuck on a boat with you
That's
for
about
a week.
what it costs for a pretty basic cabin. Not that I've looked into this already.
My God. Anyways, this show, and then also same night of the week, I believe, same channel, Fantasy Island.
Great show.
Concept of you pay $50,000 to go on an island and then
live out any fantasy you dream of,
magic.
Basically.
Yeah, magic essentially happens. But it is a changing of the guard. People were now starting to get into that kind of lifestyles of the rich and famous type of attitude. Oh, yeah. The 70s were leading into
were very
indulgent 80s, and this is when it starts to happen. People tend to do that, right? It's dreary, and then it's like, well, let's maybe do something a little bit more fun for a little bit.
It was,
and this was the start of that.
And that, like I was going to say, leading into one of my favorite shows from the 70s was Starsky and Hutch.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that show, first 2 seasons, absolutely just gritty. You would not believe it was on television in the 70s. Mm-hmm. Like, there were episodes where There was one where Starsky accidentally shot an underage black child.
In the 70s?
In the 70s. And the whole community was in an uproar. And, there's another episode. One of the first episodes, these bad guys got Hutch strung out on heroin, I believe it was.
Yeah, you told
to
me
get
about
info
this.
out of them.
Yeah.
And just the performance from David Soul on that one. There was another one where this cop's daughter got raped, and he lost his shit and went and killed the guy. Yeah. Oh,
and then they said, maybe we should.
And the last one, because
he deserves to die.
There are 4 that pop out in my mind. And the last episode was there was this handicapped 19-year-old girl that had the mentality of like a child, and she gets raped.
Was it Kurt Cobain?
But I mean, this was like 75, 76, the first 2 seasons. I mean, for television. So we've got,
It's supposed to be the light and fun one, Jesse.
Well, I had all this gritty stuff I wanted to, and you guys just ruined it. No.
All right, Gabe's got to get out of here. What time is it? Do you got a couple more seconds?
2:55.
Yeah, but I'm done anyways. But
got
then
some time.
we get into the later seasons, the 77,
Yep.
78, the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And it's all like disco-y, love boaty kind of episodes.
Well, you guys
So
got to
it
do
just completely
Atari and
changed.
stuff yet, right?
Yeah,
There's nothing else I have written down that I really want to get into.
That's really all I had anyway.
He was right in the middle of talking, though. You like literally just interrupted him talking to say, like, I suppose you guys have other things to say too, don't you?
Well, you asked a question. I was just focused on the question.
I know you were. I could see you over there.
No, the only other thing I really had was that was the last season of Wonder Woman, and
The last season.
That was the last season.
Well, because 78 is the first season of The Incredible Hulk, so we'll talk about that. I've only consumed that in like a rerun capacity. I'm kind of excited to go back and like go.
There were only 2-3 seasons of Wonder Woman. I think it was only 75 to 77.
You used to watch that.
Wonder Woman?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Oh yeah, Linda
I'd come home and it would be on the TV.
Yeah.
Linda Carter, even now, man.
Oh.
She,
Babe.
you got a babe.
What do they call
Yeah.
it? Swing. Gilf.
Yes,
Gilf.
yes.
You got a babe that spins around and all of a sudden she's in a sexy outfit and then she wraps a lasso around people and they tell her the truth. Like, okay, as a kid, you're like, fuck yeah.
Is she the superhero that drives the invisible plane?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's so hot they can't even put her in. It's an invisible plane, boys.
It's like all the movies that you see where like the characters are supposed to have something in front of their face, but then they make the movie like G.I. Joe, and then all of a sudden their helmets are just some glass orb.
Yeah.
They always do that. Yeah, well, look, we're paying all this money. We're not going to hide Kevin Bacon's face.
Yeah.
We're
yes.
not hiding those titties.
Not behind any type of jet. You've seen those windows. Those jet windows are so small. You wouldn't be able to see how hot she is
Oh my gosh.
with her lasso of truth. Starsky and Hutch, I've consumed some of it. I did go back, and this was a handful of years ago now because my mom had it on DVD for some reason. I'm like, I've never watched this. So I punched through a bunch of episodes.
Well, I have all
And
4
kinda-
seasons on DVD. I'll gladly let you give them a
Let me
run
get
through.
Let me get through some other shit first. No, but it's actually, I was surprised that it's an interesting show. I thought I knew what it was. I thought it was just the 70s cop show.
Buddy cop.
Yeah. I
Average,
thought,
yeah.
Actually, I take it back. I thought it was going to be the Ben Stiller and
No,
what's
that
his name
movie was, and they made a cameo in that. The original actors, Paul
Mm-hmm.
Michael Glaser and David Soul, but that was a pretty schlocky comedy.
Yeah, that's what
Ben
they were.
Stiller?
That's what it was. Ben, you don't say. Yeah, Ben Stiller and
Wow.
wow.
Owen Wilson.
Yeah. But interesting. I'm going to stay with buddy cop for 1 second. If
They
you
were the
please.
most buddy cop.
Well-
Like they did have like this. Yeah, you got to watch the rest of the show.
But they weren't as good as Chips.
Chips.
There you go, Gabe. Thank you for saving me. I didn't know how to
Started in
say that.
1977. I watched the first few episodes.
Okay.
Fun show.
It's
I
a
keep
fun
watching.
show.
It's
Yeah.
a little long. It's another hour-long drama.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's light. You know, got a little punch. Always getting into shenanigans.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was surprised by that show in that a lot of it shot on the highway. right?
The California Highway Patrol show?
Yeah. I was surprised by it. I was surprised by it.
Sense.
The Love Boat, a lot of it shot on an actual ship out in the water. In the 70s, they were going on location. You laugh about that, but like I kind of expected it to just be like the blue screen behind him, like, oh yeah, here we go, Ponch, we're on our way now. Get him, turn your lights on. A lot of pretty cool action, actually, I would say. Some cool chase scenes in that show. I had consumed a lot of Chips. Chips to me is an 80s show, though. But based off of my, the way my
This is your decade.
work,
Your decade starts here.
77, the 80s start here. I consumed tons of it in reruns. And so I was familiar with it from like an outside level, but I actually found it pretty interesting as well. I went through probably 6 to 8 episodes, maybe. Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was different than I thought it would be. I thought was really interesting about Chips. A lot of accidents happened in Chips.
Yeah.
So
Like running people off the road and into the swamps and whatever.
Yeah. But then filming that turns out dudes on motorcycles is kind of a dangerous TV premise.
Well, especially in California where you really can't, and they do in the show, but you really can drive in between traffic lanes in a motorcycle in California.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of cruising around.
Yeah. So episode 3, I think it is, was the first one that I noticed that Ponch has just this wicked road rash all the way up his arm. And I was like, oh, shit. I was like, what happened?
That's not makeup.
Yeah, no, it was very clear. Like, oh, you crashed your motorcycle, very clearly, because it was fresh. Because and it has nothing to do with the episode. The episode's about like a dog or something.
Crashed it in a shot, and they had to throw that away, but he's still all fucked.
His arm is all beat up. But there was a scene later on, I think it was like 1979, where he almost dies. He ends up crashing a car. I think ends up crashing into a car. I believe the car falls on him or something along those lines, breaks his wrist, ends up with a bunch of broken ribs, 2 collapsed lungs.
That's all of them.
That's 100% collapsage.
100% collapsage. Well, okay, collapsage. Maybe it was just one, but I did read 2. So.
No, Dave, thank you. Thanks for having me. We'll see you next week.
I asked if you had time. 5 minutes.
See you later.
Fun show. Do you remember anything from it, Jesse?
I remember watching a lot of reruns of it. I don't remember a lot of specifics from it. Just, I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
I like Eric Estrada.
Yeah. Yeah. An interesting show that I had kind of forgot who the other guy was.
Because Estrada, he's done, and he pokes fun at that show a lot. He'll do like little bits on.
Yes.
Over the years, he's done little commercials and.
Yeah. I feel like didn't he voice somebody in C-Lab?
He's done voice work.
And I think
the name is almost like Ponch too.
Probably. And I think it's kind of a parody of that, or at least there is some little in-jokes there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
he's just still that character, kind of.
Well, and what movie is it where he fixes his wig?
Oh, yeah, I remember. I don't remember what it's from,
but I don't remember what it's from though. Where he's like, fixes his wig. Interesting show though. I enjoyed it. That's what 70s television to me. Like I started watching that and I'm like, okay, like this is the 80s television I remember. This is what I expected this to be. But I was pleasantly surprised by it. So, okay, we got one last topic, Jesse. It's the end of the show. Gabe has already left us, folks. I asked him if he had time. He said yes, and then was like surprised that we didn't have time. So.
I think he was just giving you a exit to cut.
I know what he was doing there. What I was trying to say was when I asked if we had time, he should like wrap it up. We could have ended the episode. But Jesse, 1977 is the start of what I would say video game consoles in the home being a major thing.
Definitely. I mean, there was a very short-lived one before that, but this one was
this is the granddaddy. It is not the original
market.
It is not the end all be all.
It's the one that stuck though, and it's the one that everybody ended up buying.
And that is the Atari 2600.
Yes.
So Jesse,
77.
77.
A little older than I thought.
It's about right. I couldn't remember exactly when it came out, but in my head it felt about right because our dad had one. He had the Empire Strikes Back game.
Oh, that's one of my top 5 favorite games.
It's actually
for an
great
Atari game. Yeah.
It's basically Defender.
Yeah,
but
when you're just going and shooting at walkers.
Yeah. But a great game. But let's talk about it just super fast. Do you know any of the history of the Atari 2600 or anything?
I know its lifespan was 77 to about 1992.
Yeah, which is crazy. Yeah.
Like that is how, yeah. And I know worldwide, I believe it sold right around or just over 30 million units.
Yeah, which is a ton of units. And Atari did go on to make the 5200, the 7800.
78 came after the 26.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had was it a 5400 that was just god awful?
Yeah, Atari started doing weird things after this. Atari started taking things and gluing them together and calling them a system. But the 7800 is very comparable to like an NES.
Yeah. Well, it's nice, but at least they actually had backwards compatibility.
Yes.
So you could play your 2600 games on the 7800.
Yes.
But once it hit the 5400, nope.
Yeah, but the 2800 is the original home console in the US, and it was a huge deal for kids of that era. Not a lot to it.
No.
Not a lot to the games. You turn the game on and the game is on, you know.
Sure. Well, you did have your 4-switch and your 6-switch options.
Yes, you could
get fancy.
You could flip some doodads and make it do different things.
Yeah.
But in terms of like games, you had like your combat or whatever, and it is very comical because you and I have talked about this before. The box art or the
epic box.
Unbelievable.
Epic. And you're like, this is going to be the best fucking video game ever. And you put it in, it's like, ding,
beep,
ding.
boop, 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 boop. The 2600 art is all done in the style of like movie posters.
Okay.
It's all paintings.
Is like just amazing.
Immaculate paintings of like, oh man, a missile command. Oh my God!
Yeah,
look,
like the
there's a
centipede
war.
one. The centipede coming down and
oh man,
Tempest.
You expect to turn this on and you are going to be enthralled and surrounded in just the most incredible experience, and then you see a square and another square separated by a line.
There were some pretty. I mean, they kept you. They were good games.
Yeah, it was games in terms of like what you would play on a cell phone in the 90s, things that in some concepts still you would still play on a lot of devices now, just things that you would kill time with.
Yeah.
You know, these weren't long experiences. I do think it's hilarious though that mentality of the artwork towards the graphics of the game is exactly why Nintendo went the other route with their black box games.
Their first couple runs were just like,
where they
this is just an 8-bit Mario.
Yes.
This is what you're gonna get.
So
Duck Hunt.
yes, that whole reason
Very minimalist.
that
on the
minimalist
art.
style was because of the backlash from the Atari 2600 boxes.
Until Mega Man.
Oh, then you're like, that's not even the game.
No.
That not only is that not what the game looks like, that's not the game.
No. And there was two, like the very first Mega Man, had a completely different
Oh
art.
yeah, that one's great.
Have you ever?
I've still got a copy
Have you
of
ever
that
done that? Like, see, there's somebody goes and writes out like instructions, like as though he was telling the guy, "This is what I want my art box to look like for this game."
Yes.
and then he describes everything that actually is on the thing. So when you hear it written out, you're like, "Holy fuck, this is ridiculous!"
I love the palm tree more than anything. Let's wrap up super fast though. Favorite 2600 game?
I have to quick do top 5.
Okay.
Empire's on there.
Yeah.
Combat.
Yeah.
Warlords.
Okay.
Pitfall.
Okay.
And I said top 5, and now I'm blanking.
I mean, you got your basics. You've got your Missile Command.
California Games.
Oh, California Games is on there?
Yep, absolutely. That was the first time I played. That was the first console I ever played on to begin with. But that was the first time I'd been introduced, there was a California Games on it.
That's how you know that you're an official console, that you have California Games.
And I have gotten it on I have it on NES, I have it on Super Nintendo.
Yes.
Like everything going forward, I always got California Games.
Scott, did you have any reference?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think you would.
No, none.
Yeah, we had it, and I actually ended up with both my dad's and my ex-father-in-law's. Both of them somehow disappeared because I just didn't have any connection to them.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy the Star Wars game. That was a legit game. I remember putting that back in
It was.
well into
I had
the
a buddy
NES.
that had that, and I'm like, wow, that is.
Yeah, I mean, I was born in '87, so
Yeah.
by the time I was a video
10
game
years.
playing age, I was playing the NES, and the SNES was right on the
And that was
verge of coming out.
And that was a 10-year-old
Horizon.
system in a time frame when 10 years was light years.
It was. Yeah, that was. Yeah. I mean, that's only 5 years for us, but
Right.
that's an eternity when you're
Yeah.
a kid.
Yeah.
But that was even at the tail end for me because my friend's brother had it and he left it at the house when he moved out. So we got to play it.
It totally changed everything. It also then led to the entire collapse of an entire industry.
It did ruin the video.
It ruined the video game industry because there was absolutely no quality control. So parents would go buy these games and they weren't cheap. The kid would get them
and be like, this is horrible.
Not only that, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
This game doesn't work. So all these toy stores and stuff would have all these games that
that's
people would take things back then. That's the crazy thing. Like, can you imagine? Because we did that with
Can you imagine
Nintendo
getting
games
like
too.
500 copies of ET coming back to your store?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, folks, that is 1977.
Word.
Except for the movies. So next week, we will be doing a part 2, which is the movies of 1977. I believe our list includes, for sure, Star Wars, but it also includes The Spy, Who Loved Me, some more James Bond talk. It is going to include Saturday Night Fever. It also has on it
Smokey and the Bandit?
Smokey and the Bandit for sure. And then I did watch Slapshot. I don't think there's a lot to talk about with Slapshot. And I said this to Gabe too. Gabe's a hockey guy. His kids play hockey. Slapshot is so specific to hockey.
Yeah.
And when I was growing up, the kids that played hockey all knew and loved Slapshot. I think it's such a niche movie.
Yeah.
And it's not bad, so it's not like something you can really make fun of. It's almost one we would need to like sit down and do a whole episode just praising what it does right.
Sure.
So I don't know if it'll make the list or
Kind
not.
of like what Rad did for BMX in the 80s.
Oh my God. I will do 3 episodes on Rad. That is it's my favorite genre of movie. The Save the Rec Center. Are you freaking kidding me? Save the Rec Center is my favorite genre of movie. And this one just happens to be on BMX bikes. And what's the course at the end?
Oh,
My God, you got to look it up now. It's like, what is it? It's like Kill Course or something like that. Or
It was pretty
Look it
crazy.
up. Somebody look it up
Yeah.
because it's going to drive me nuts. Brad Final Course. I'm pretty sure it's like I think it's Kill Course or something like. Oh my God! Well, I can't believe I'm forgetting this.
Speaking of Slapshot, I think the movie Goon
Yeah,
is a superior hockey movie.
yeah. Slapshot's okay, but it's and it does a lot of things right, but it's also a 1977 movie.
Yeah, right. Hell Track?
Hell Track.
Hell Track.
you beat me
Hell
to it.
Track.
Oh, yeah, I came up with it as soon as I put.
I apologize. We will definitely be talking about Rad when the time comes. All right, Jesse, final thoughts on 1977.
Absolutely spectacular year for everything from music, movies, television,
Unbelievable.
everything.
It's a turning point.
Unbelievable. It really is a turning point. It is a reason why we started with it. I think if we're going to talk about the 80s, we have to talk about 1977. You can't talk about the 80s without talking about 1977.
That just sets the whole tone and going forward to the finale 1989, which was one hell of a way for the 80s to go out.
Well, technically, in the way that my decade,
Still, there's that feel that
Doesn't
runs
run
into
until
the early 90s too.
92 is the end of
I'd say
the 80s.
92, 93, in my opinion.
Yeah,
were kinda,
I'll give you both. 92, 93 are the end of the 80s.
Of course,
So-
yeah.
All right, Scott, final thoughts?
Yes.
And Gabe, final thoughts? I hear you there, sir. All right. Stay tuned next week. We'll be back with part 2. And until then, we're done. Yeah, I was really surprised by the TV shows of the 70s. The TV in the 70s is a weird beast.
Yeah.
I did want to watch Three's Company, so I still might watch some Three's Company.
It holds up.
I genuinely might go watch more of it.
Where'd you find it at?
It's on Pluto. It's free.
Oh, God. Damn. I'm actually mad at myself now because I do want to watch that. Speaking of which, Ritter is on episode 2, I think, of The Love Boat.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, he did a lot of little guest spots.
Yeah.
Yep,
And
he did.
Oddly enough, he dresses as a woman because there was only one. This was the craziest thing about Love Boat. These ships only have so many cabins, so you could book a room that would be a shared room with another human being that you don't know.
That sounds not cool.
It sounds wild and dangerous.
Right.
Oh, it could be. Yeah, you never know. It
Especially
could
with all
have
them serial killers running
Ted
around.
Bundy on, you know.
So
You're not gonna.
So John Ritter, the entire plot of John Ritter's side of the story is that they have one room left, and it is only a shared room with another female. And so
What could happen there?
the hijinks that happens when a man pretends to be a woman and then
Holy
stays
cow.
in the shared cabin. That's crazy to me. But it makes sense, right? You could only have so many cabins. Otherwise, you just have people like in these little tiny bins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Would you do it?
No.
No, I wouldn't either.
Oh, hell no.
I wouldn't either.
That sounds uncomfortable as all heck.
That's like getting in a dorm room, but you're on vacation. Like at least the dorm room, you're like, well, I'm paying for an education.
Well, yeah, it's college, you know.
It's
but
college.
not-
I can
it's
go
not
hang
like-
out with
No,
my friends.
I go to get away from humans. when I-
Right. I'm going on vacation.
Well, at least
I'm going to get away.
I don't want to come back to you beating off.
who knows? They're getting out of the shower. Oh, hey, that's great.
Why are you getting in the shower with me? Yeah, it's crazy. Couldn't believe it.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking thing sucks!